spell damage. Look at that cost. They are all spells.
Really very, very good for his Clockwork. You can just kill him if he's locked in with you.
And our analyst said we want a lot of physical damage and some pushing power is also preferred. Lycan delivers both. In spades here, Evil Geniuses all smoked up. Actually tried to do something with this rotation in through mid over to the Radiant side of jungle, but well-positioned Blink is going to be able to stop that smoke. Evil Geniuses will not catch Wings out of guards this way.
Yeah, notice how Shadow is positioned this game. He's positioned in a much different place to pop the smoke. But rounding out the lineup, I was checking out Arteezy's Golden Immortal.
Oh, nice. Always a fan of the hats, Ben. But blocks, they already have one ward that's going to be scattered out. That one's going to just be a free 100 gold for Wings, that aggressive river ward laid out by Evil Geniuses. Wings obviously had their own ward in spot. What they may not be able to catch is this kind of ward blocking out the hard camp pull, making sure that Universe may have a better time in his lane. Blocking out pull is really important for an off-lane Clockwork, right?
However, it's the exact same place where they warded last game.
Yeah.
So it's, maybe a little bit expected from Wings, especially because they did de-ward it last game.
One difference we will have is that there's a Slardar, this time on the opposite side on these supports. Blink is still playing really passive here. One of the big ups of having a Lycan, especially on the Radiant side. We've seen this a time or two. He can go ahead and neutral. Still, though, the supports are going to be able to find him. Will they have enough to be able to bring him down? With the Diabolic Edict, might be possible. The arrow barely going to miss. Not quite fast enough, but he might still be able to run Blink down. With the extra couple of right clicks, they will be able to deliver. 3-3. 3 kills in 3 minutes for Evil Geniuses. They are keeping up the heat here in this second game against Wings.
And they're getting tons of farm on their cores. Luna, 14 denies, 19 last hits, and Sumail doing very well in his own right with second most CS on the board. And Wings can get involved pretty early on, but this is a pretty terrible start for them. And they can only farm the jungle for so long before they have to worry about the SD Luna combination beating on their towers.
Even Universe is getting a decent amount out of his offlane thanks to the fact that Ice was forced up to top early on. So he was just dealing with the Disruptor's harassment. Universe is actually going to be leveling up Rocket Flare, getting some early CS off of that as well. 9-3 for him as an offlane by 4 minutes is a very acceptable score.
And unusual build from the Weaver, going for the bottle very early on. Normally, if you want the region in lane, he'll go for the Ring of Health into the Lincoln Sphere. But
nailed the look to punish.
They're also lacking a lot of damage. No weave up on the Dazzle yet, and no medallion up on either side. Crit,
that's not where you want to be. Ooh. He ran into a smoke, though, so Evil Geniuses, the rest of them, will not be caught by that heavy rotation that was coming out from Wings. Wings are just looking to try and clear out their jungle at this point, but there is still remnants of Evil Geniuses remaining with these deep wards.
And let's see what Luna's going to build. I see just a Lance at the moment. It's typically mass stats, but I was curious whether or not he was going to go for HOD early. But realizing that Wings lineup and their bans kind of suggested that they wanted to fight constantly, we'll go for a more team-oriented build.
But guess what? Universe, he sees you too. He's not opting to go for the hook shot, though. A little bit scared. He'll just give you a glimpse back anyway, even if there isn't heroes behind that Disruptor. So he holds off for now. Another ward going to be countered, though. Evil Geniuses will take away the defensive position of Wings. Looks like they're trying to give Y, which they desperately need, the Disruptor level 6. Trying to give them a lot of solo experiences. That's really the only way they can contest Evil Geniuses, it seems like, at this point. EG have a full firepower at this point.
He also might be able to stop TPs if they TP back to defend against the Lycan. Lycan already did take down that T1 tower in the mid lane, so something going the way of Wings, and Y looks like he's just going to be able to leech almost a half-level experience from that.
Wings continue to secede as much towers as possible in exchange for farm. They're dividing their map up into the hard left-hand side and letting Evil Geniuses have the right hand, but EG going to make yet another deep incursion. 4-man smoke up, passing near that tier 2, and it looks like they're going to wrap through into that ancient area. See if they can grab someone in the offlane camp, or maybe run into Shadow here. They actually have the already kind of were laid out. The hookshot misses, but it doesn't seem to matter. They can blow up these squishy agility heroes so damn quickly. Glimpse back, but Arteezy still in a perfectly fine position, and it's not like he's an easy hero to kill at this point. He's got the Dragon Lance.
But they are way stronger than Wings at the moment, unless Crit gets caught out.
Oh, but the disruption goes down first, and now the arrow is going to nail Y. No opportunity for a static storm. +1 going to be caught. Universe manages to snatch up Eyesight. Tries to get off the shallow grave. Going to be blown up too quick. Evil Geniuses take 2 right in front of a tier 2 tower. Where are they going to go from here? Right now their top lane's being threatened, so they're not going to immediately opt for trying to take that tier 2. Instead, they're going to go for Ancients and let Sumail try and deal with Blink at the top lane. But that split push is coming too fast. They are going to be able to get the disruption. Zai follows up the splitter. Nope, actually, the ultimate goes down too quickly. The Weaver, that is still an important ability used. And Wings not feeling comfortable fighting here, may not be able to contest this big old Ancient stack, but then again, at the same time, it seems like RTZ still does it a bit too slow.
Their vision game is way too strong. Look at these 2 observers right outside the T2 tower. Wings even have a sentry ward, but it's just outside of range, and they just know every angle that Wings is coming from and can easily hook shot.
Falling behind by any means, this is a wealthy clockwork by regular clockwork standards.
Shadow dodges a hook shot, but runs right into RTZ. They kind of know where he is.
You're going to be able to see him for a second there. Unfortunately, the arrow and the cog and the split. Now, this is interesting. They have this Leshrac pushing out. What they may not expect is that Wings are going to make this invasion into their jungle, but fortunately, our Slardar did get spotted as he rotated out. They have 2 really good wards up here in the top lane. I think Evil Geniuses, with the way they're playing, right, they're controlling so much of the right hand and bottom half of the map that they know they need the vision on the other side. They're actually going to be able to pounce here with the Moonlight Shadow. Their counter was just not there in time. Now Disruptor's going to be caught. He managed to get off the Static Storm, but it's a bit too late. RTZ's Eclipse will keep some of these heroes at bay. Nice jump in from Faith Beyond, but Disruption will manage to buy RTZ some time. Now he turns, fights with a beautiful split earth. He lines up those glaze, managed to bring down 2. A TP out from Shadow will allow him to escape, but it's still 3 dead from Wings, and Evil Geniuses look to be able to secure more.
Almost every single move that Wings has made this game has just utterly failed. And I would say the least disastrous one is the Roshan, if that gives you any perspective. But at this point, EG, they're just rolling together as a ball. Disruptions have been completely on point so that no one's really at risk of dying. And the Luna is just far too far for any to win a fight with this. The lead's only going to get way, way worse. So it looks like Faith Beyond will scatter that DD could be a potential changer for one of the next fights, but not if it's on Slardar. And Blink on top.
They have Hookshot to be able to stop this BKB TP out, so Blink may be in some serious trouble. He's going to have to try and get some sort of play here to eat through the cogs and still get out. He doesn't even pop the BKB. He realizes that he is very dead, and Evil Geniuses, with that pick on the carry, start marching down that top lane.
And with that, I think there might be even some level of like, oh, I have buyback. I can buy back and use BKB. If he uses BKB, it'd pretty much be up by the time he bought back. But I don't know if he just wanted to save his 10-second charge or maybe wanted to fool them into thinking that he potentially had a buyback.
EG keep on doing this. Instead of going for straight up the ejected, they try and get that extra kill. Not able to get it just yet. They're going to go back for that tier 2 tower. Moonlight Shadow down now. And Lycan will be up in time if EG try and go for the high ground push.
And Shadow eyeing that T1 tower on the bottom, as well as maybe a TP store to round out his inventory. And EG, are they going to push? They don't have the ages this time, but they are together as 5, as no one has to defend against a split push.
Shadow still feeling confident. This is another thing the BKB does for him, right? Because at this point, Evil Geniuses only have the hook shot to be able to stop a BKB TP out. So if Shadow plays it correctly, and they have to hook shot to initiate, he can still BKB TP out. It gives his split pushing a lot more power, a lot more confidence in that.
Yeah, they definitely need way more items and way more split pushing to overcome the amount of armor that they have on AG. Even Leshrac is closing in on a Shiva's guard. Just 800 gold away from his staff, and then Luna has Butterfly. Somebody's probably going to pick up an AC fairly soon. Even the Ethereal Blade on the Mirana gives her a fair amount of armor.
Have Wings managed to shuffle Evil Geniuses players around the map enough that there's an opening for initiation here? We'll see. A 4-man smoke, and they start leading towards Zai.
The Lotus Orb is also going to be very problematic because that dispels the amplifiers, and it's as good as like 15 armor.
Clockwork. His position actually kills the smoke there on the Disruptor, and the smoke will fade on these rest of the heroes as well.
Straight 5-on-5, I think they have very little chance of winning. They still need to push out the lanes constantly. But the problem is that Luna's doing the same thing too.
Now Evil Geniuses have managed to spot out a few members. Rocket Flare there on the Disruptor. Not leading out with a hookshot just yet. Another Moonlight Shadow going to be used here. Hookshot actually going to miss out. Universe missing the mark once again, and maybe caught because of it. Hurts goes down. They actually managed to see the Luna, and they initiate onto him already down to half an HP, but pops BKB and turns. Eclipse goes out, and he starts chasing down heroes. They will manage to get a Yules onto this Lardar setting up, but he actually BKBs. Now he turns for the crush. Arteezy's BKB is down. The disruption goes down, but they're just going to go surround Arteezy. He heads himself to the tree, trying to block out the path as best as possible. Turns and fight. Maybe he can actually fight through this one. Blink. No, it's just going to be too much damage. Arteezy falls, but he dished out a hell of a beating onto Wings, and they are going to be forced back because the rest of Evil Geniuses, they still have Samael. Zai is looking real low. Shadow's actually feeling confident. He's going to be able to jump forward. FaceLess nails Samael. Doesn't actually die. They kill Samael. They got him dead right to first. He pops forward with the blade mill. He sees all these low heroes, and he just wants at least one of them. Ice Ice will be the kill. FaceLess doesn't get hit by the shots. Battery Assault not lucky enough, and they'll be able to get a full wipe onto Evil Geniuses. And what the hell did Wings lose out of that? A Disruptor and a Dazzle.
These BKBs just caught EG off guard. They thought they had the stun lock on the Asar. He popped BKB and just ran at them. They got Luna to half health before she even popped her BKB, and she actually does not have that much in her defensive toolkit to deal with this Amplify after she BKBs. And the Shadow Demon Disruption actually kind of put him in a very bad position where all of Wings were just able to get right on top of him. He did play in the trees, though. That was a nifty little trick running down to the south because there are a lot of units. The Wolves, the Necrobooks, the Lycan himself, and the Sora are all trying to attack the Luna. But at the end of the day, she dies, and that's a huge net worth for Wings.
Yeah, I mean, he almost dealt enough damage that...
An additional tool for him to save himself and not get owned by the Eclipse without having to use his BKB. They need as many kiting abilities as possible, and their lanes are just barely past the river on the top lane at least, and that's not going to be enough for EG to back off. And with one lane already down and the T3 pretty much already dead, I don't think they can avoid this.
They may be getting stronger, but once that tier 3 tower is down, it becomes so much harder to deal with Luna pushes. Once they start getting some attacks out, they start bouncing around between the Raxes, these little buildings, start hitting the heroes. And it sets the stage for a team fight that you don't want to take, even though it's based around your base.
So in theory, this Luna should not die. She has Satanic BKB Butterfly. They don't have any MKBs yet, and they have Defensive Disruption, and then Aegis. Like, she should feel very, very safe pushing up this hill, but things can always go awry, and EG kind of sensed that foreboding possibility that they could lose this fight.
They've still got plenty of time on the Aegis, so if they want to chip away until they take that range Rex, wait until the Aegis is a little bit lower cooldown, then maybe then they're forced into a high ground. But for now, you're right. They're definitely posturing themselves a lot more defensively than I guess would be expected.
And on the flip side, you have Shadow, who doesn't even go for a Hurricane Pike versus the Clockwork. Normally, you'll see like 4 steps on that first item. Maybe not on Weaver, but on a lot of heroes. But he's not scared. He just went all-out damage, and which is very significant considering his net worth. He's only a little bit behind the Luna, and that may be enough for them to win a team fight.
Arrow comes out. Not going to catch any of the Wings members for free.
And double damage pinged out. Arteezy headed towards it.
Oh no.
So he's going to be hitting for, it looks like, a measly 480.
I mean, if you were waiting for an opportunity to push, that double damage is like Ice Frog urging you to go high ground.
And there's still a lot of time left on that double damage, and they will see it right now, although kind of hard to see against Luna's blue hero.
TI champions. 1 game down in this single elimination best of 3. The hardest fight ahead is already, you can see the Moonglights, and now the hook shot to the back line. Shadow's being caught, bounced out. He can't even use his ultimate as he'll still stick around the same HP, so they're going to lose a full lane of Brax there. And no real committal whatsoever, almost taking down Faith Beyond. Evil Geniuses quickly start setting up for the next push. They may not have that double damage anymore, but they still have that Aegis intact. 1 lane of Brax is all that separates them from being able to get mega creeps in what should be an inevitable win for Evil Genius. in this series. Scouting arrow goes out, disruption laid down, but Fabian is going to be able to hit the stun immediately afterwards. They can get a lot of damage onto RTZ because of this, but he pops the Manta, just keeps on going, knowing that if he can kill this tier 3 tower, look at the damage bounce across the backline. Now the hook shot, it goes shot 2. Universe locks him inside the clogs and lets RTZ go straight for the Raxes. He knows he do not have to win this team fight. All they have to do is get the Raxes down and they'll be able to have Megas. Sumail distracting some of the heroes, the Wings, but the Raxes are down, and now the real fight begins. Wings have to fight for their lives. BKB goes off, but Blink doesn't have shapeshift yet. He can't actually beat out Arteezy. He still has that Aegis intact. And now Wings are going to have to fight against Mega Creeps and against a very, very big Evil Geniuses underneath the ground of their tier 4 towers.
And T4 is arguably easier to push with Luna as the Claves keep bouncing back and forth, and they might be too low before the fight even starts. Arteezy still backed up by his entire support crew.
The weave starts building up as Fabian gets his initiation on the side. The backline for the Eclipse goes down, and Wings do not have the BKBs to be able to defend against this. They have to go straight back to their throne. The bounce, but meanwhile the throne's actually being targeted. The arrow tanked up by Fabian. They go straight for Arteezy and take down that big carry, but the Aegis is about to be finished up. The throne's already at half health. Static Storm goes down, but Arteezy's going to be gifted a disruption. Just more damage to lay into the throne. Wings desperately trying to take out these big damage.